What did you learn from your first relationship? Story 1. Compatibility with household cleanliness and organization habits is far more important than you think. Relationships where one partner cares a lot more about the household than the other will result in both parties resenting each other. Story 2. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Maya Angelou, several years after I learned that lesson the hard way, but I could never phrase it better. Going hand in hand with that, you can't fix someone else, especially someone who's given up on themselves. You can only put that kind of energy and effort into yourself and expect to see returns. That one took me a couple or 3 ill-advised relationships, truthfully. Story 3. That some people aren't meant for you. Don't wait for them to be somebody they aren't, and don't try to change them to fit what you want them to be. Story 4. I don't have to accept abuse from anyone. Story 5. Sometimes the words "I love you" don't actually mean much when the person saying them doesn't believe in those words anymore. Story 6. It's not enough to love someone. The way that love is expressed matters a lot. For a great relationship, you have to love your partner in the way they need to be loved. Story 7. Sexual attraction isn't the same as love. Story 8. If she's willing to cheat on her bet with you, she'll be willing to cheat on you. Story 9. Well, I didn't have my first relationship until I was 30, which ended up in marriage and eventually divorce. The biggest lesson I took from it was that waiting for that perfect person was a complete waste of time. I had a very difficult time dating when I was younger. I put too much pressure on each date for it to be something special. The marriage taught me that I could actually be desirable and gave me confidence going forward. The divorce, on the other hand, made me a much more guarded and uncaring person. Turns out the uncaring part made it easier to go on dates, less anxiety, but harder for them to mean anything later on. Story 10. Make your own decisions about what you want out of life here instead of those that line up with what she wants out of her life. Almost followed a girl to Portland and took a job I didn't really want because I wanted to make us work. So happy she cared enough about me to end things and tell me to find my own path. A wife, successful military career, and bunch of kids later, I'm eternally grateful things turned out the way they did. Thank you, Katie. Story 11. If she beats you like Mike Tyson when she's mad, you should just leave. Story 12. To never chase or beg anyone to stay. Story 13. Someone can be a really good friend, doesn't mean they'll be a good partner. Also, not to give in to pressure from your partner on things you believe in. Story 14. Mental health is you can and should do everything to help your partner. But there's a point where the best thing to do is just let go. You shouldn't have to constantly walk on eggshells talking to them. They shouldn't make you feel guilty for not wanting to cuddle anymore after cuddling a few hours, even though that's what makes them happy. Do you not like cuddling? Though I suppose that's technically gaslighting, maybe? Point is, you should absolutely do what you can to help them get better. Don't just ditch them. But unfortunately, sometimes it's just not worth staying and you need to do what's best for you. Story 15. You are not their parent. Story 16. What their parents think of you matters. Also, don't write explicit letters. Story 17. That as soon as you see major red flags, it's time to say goodbye and move on. Boundaries are there for a reason. Story 18. Apparently I get too attached, which is odd to me cause I'm just trying to care, and I suppose it comes off in a weird way. I'm not gonna stop cause I know someone will see my worth and appreciate every second of it when they find me. Story 19. That I am a lucky, lucky man. I married my first girlfriend and we're still in love after 22 years of marriage. Story 20. Communicate your boundaries early in the relationship instead of later or never talking about them. Story 21. Love does not conquer all. You have to work at it, and sometimes you just have to accept that they didn't love you the same way and move on. Story 22. If you meet your girlfriend's boyfriend, there is something wrong there, and you shouldn't think that is okay. Story 23. Not to give second chances to the wrong person. Story 24. Don't ignore feelings just because you're in a good mood. Address problems, think about what you can accept, and work past it accordingly. Story 25. No matter how well you get along, if they won't stand up for you in any situation, then it's not likely to work. I'm able to stand up for myself now, but the things his mom would say about me that he'd sit by and laugh at to her face and say he wasn't awk with her saying when she wasn't around wasn't awk. Story 26. Nothing lasts forever. Story 27. You have to be whole in yourself before trying to build a relationship with someone else. Anything else leads to codependency and an over-reliance on a relationship to fulfill bring you happiness, at least in my experience. That and perfection is a trap and should not be sought. Story 28. That I'm gay. Story 29. My first was over 4 years long. Here's what I learned. The negative lessons. Long distance. Even in some of the most determined of circumstances, one or both people will begin to lose their passion for the other person. I need to feel like I have some kind of priority in their life and not let everything in their life overrule my needs. I need to advocate for myself when once or twice becomes a trend. A long-term relationship should never fall into complacency. Don't assume that just because they're always there, that they always will be. Don't allow your whole life to revolve around them. If they leave, you will have the rug pulled out from under you socially. Maintain and keep your other relationships healthy while being with your person. But more positively, how to truly love, how to provide a feeling of safety, how to feel victory with someone else's wins, how to pour your soul and emotion into something for another person in order to make them feel completely happy, regardless of how long it may last. And finally, years after the actual breakup itself, how to reflect on it and heal. Frankly, I'm still figuring bits and pieces of that lesson out, like a book I keep rereading. Every time I go through it, I interpret new parts of it and learn a little more about myself and about what happened between us. I won't have all the answers in the end, but I got most of what I need to move forward. Anything left just needs to be set aside and left behind, or else I'll be eternally lost in the boundless puzzle of it all. Story 30. That there is a big difference between being physically attracted to someone and wanting to be in a relationship with them. I only did my first relationship because being 17 and being able to have sex is something you're going to give up. But looking back, we literally nothing in common. Story 31. Even if you're young and socially awkward, you should go on dates. Otherwise, it'll just feel like a very committed friendship. Not a bad thing at all, but it was eye-opening to see that I only felt he was a good friend I cared about and not a significant other. The only date we went on was playing Halo at his house and going to a movie afterwards, while his mom breathed down our necks the whole time. We were like 15. Again, not bad, but we had been together for 3 years, and it definitely made me realize he was a good friend in my eyes. We still talk on occasion even 10 years later. Story 32. I'm still in my first true relationship at 26. God, is patience with myself and her important. The same can be said about giving yourself some grace in making mistakes, but also holding yourself accountable. It's a tightrope walk juggling being hard on yourself for positive change for you both and allowing yourself to be a human being, flaws and all. Story 33. How manipulative some people can be and to not put up with bullshit. It was a well-learned lesson that saved me a lot of trouble as I got older. Story 34. Don't put them before your purpose. Story 35. Relationship good. We are married. This is a good note to end on. Please write your stories in the comments. I'll be happy to add them to future videos. Also, you can rate our other videos. We would be very grateful. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.